All right, let's go over what seems like a pretty straightforward maneuver, pulling over and pulling away from the curb. Okay, so this is probably the first thing I test with a student that is brand new to my driving school. I ask them to pull over as soon as we get a chance. Okay, so think of it this way. Before you pull over, you need to make sure you signal to right, check your rear view mirror, check your right side mirror, shoulder check right, and if it all checks out, then it's time to slow down as you gently drift over to the right. Okay, so if we just kind of quickly pull over, we signal and then just pull over, and there's a bunch of parked cars here, you know, examiner's thinking, oh, what kind of pullover is this, right? You didn't leave any room to straighten out. You're kind of hanging out into the road. So look ahead, plan ahead, and go, okay, there are 3 parked cars here, and I just got told here to pull over, so I need to signal and get my checks done as soon as possible, and then try to come over more gently so that I can pull over nicely over here. So be strategic with where you pull over. Do not mistake what I'm saying here with just driving for half a block or 3/4 of a block and just be like, yeah, it's not safe, it's not safe, it's not safe. It's like some students take forever to pull over, and it's like, no, the examiner had a plan for why they wanted you to pull over in this area. So get that signal on, rear view mirror check, side mirror check, shoulder check quickly, and then do your pull over nice and gently. Okay, and make sure you pull over parallel to the curb when you're done. Same idea here. When you're pulling away, right? So examiner says, let's leave, right? Let's leave the side of the road. Examiner's thinking, okay, let's see if they're going to do this safely. And students should be thinking, okay, they're trying to see if I'm going to signal to the left, check my rear view mirror, check my side mirror, and am I gonna shoulder check to the left before I pull away here, right? So here's a tip. If you turn your steering wheel towards the curb when parked on a hill, be sure to straighten out before doing step B. Okay, so after you signal and before you start thinking about doing your checks to get going, make sure you straighten out the wheel if you're pointed towards the right. Okay, so the takeaway here is pulling over to and pulling away from the side of the road is considered a lane change. You're going to or from the parking lane to the travel lane. Okay, so when you're driving here on the road, this is the travel lane, and then when you're pulling over, this is the parking lane. And sometimes it's not a lot of difference in terms of movement on the road, but nevertheless, they're checking your habits. Okay, so sometimes students are like, well, I thought it was just a few inches over to the right. Do I really need to shoulder check? It's like, yes, a bike or a scooter or a kid on a rollerblade, anyone can be there, and you'll be surprised how often someone shows up when you aren't expecting them to. Okay, anytime you lane change, you need to signal your intent, check the appropriate mirrors, and perform a shoulder check in the direction you're planning on moving to. Then and only then do you move the steering wheel. Sometimes what happens with students is as they're drifting over towards the curb, they then start checking, and I tell them, well, what's the point of this shoulder check? You're just trying to see which cyclist you're knocking off their bike, right? And then they get a good chuckle, and then we adjust from there. But it's the same idea when you're pulling away. Sometimes I see students, they take their foot off the brake, the car starts rolling. As they're rolling back onto the travel lane, then they're shoulder checking. I'm like, well, what's the point? Now you've already cut someone off, or you side-swiped a car that's passing by. So before you take your foot off the brake in this position, make sure you've checked and then roll. It's a very straightforward, simple maneuver, but it can go wrong in so many ways. So please pay attention to this procedure.